I always believed that no matter how bad things got, my own family would never physically hurt me, especially not while I was 8 months pregnant. I was wrong. On the night of my brother's graduation party, my father did something that changed my life forever. Drop your verdict in the comments before the story begins. Let's see if you're right by the end. And if you love revenge stories, don't forget to like and subscribe. My name is Elena Veed, and this is the story of how my own father flipped my wheelchair while I was 8 months pregnant, and how that one moment destroyed my entire family. I had worked extremely hard to build my life. After years of struggle, I managed to buy a beautiful house worth $450,000. It was my pride and my security. My younger brother, Marcus, had always been the favorite in the family. He was outgoing, charming, and knew exactly how to please our parents. I, on the other hand, was quiet and focused on building my own future. A few weeks before Marcus's graduation party, my parents started pressuring me. They wanted me to transfer my house into Marcus's name as a gift so he could start his married life comfortably. I refused. I had worked too hard for that house, and I wasn't going to hand it over just because they asked. On the night of the graduation party, almost 80 people were gathered at a big hall. Everyone was happy and celebrating. I was sitting in my wheelchair near the corner because my pregnancy had made it difficult for me to stand for long. My parents and Marcus came up to me during the party. My father looked at me and said in a low but firm voice, "Elena, we've been patient with you. Tonight, you're going to sign the papers and transfer the house to Marcus. This is not a request anymore." I looked at him and replied calmly, "I already told you, Dad. I'm not giving away my house." My father's face turned red with anger. He stepped closer and said, "You're being selfish. Marcus is our son. He deserves it more than you. Sign the damn papers right now." I refused again. That's when he lost control. Without any warning, he grabbed the back of my wheelchair and flipped it with full force. I fell hard onto the floor. My belly hit the ground with a sickening thud. A sharp, unbearable pain shot through my body, and I screamed loudly. Before I could even understand what was happening, I felt a warm rush of liquid between my legs. My water had broken. I was only 8 months pregnant. I looked up at my parents and brother through the pain and tears and said in a weak but clear voice, "You'll all regret this." Just as the words left my mouth, we heard the sound of sirens approaching from a distance. The sirens grew louder as I lay on the cold floor, clutching my stomach in agony. The sharp pain was coming in waves now. My water had broken, and I could feel that something was very wrong. I was only 8 months pregnant. My mother rushed to my side, her face filled with panic. "Elena, oh my God, someone call an ambulance," she shouted. My father stood frozen a few steps away, still holding the edge of the flipped wheelchair. He looked shocked, as if he couldn't believe what he had just done. My brother Marcus was standing behind him, looking pale. I looked up at my father through the pain and said again, my voice weak but clear, "You'll all regret this." Just then, the doors of the hall burst open. Paramedics rushed inside, followed by 2 police officers. Someone at the party had already called the police after seeing what happened. The paramedics quickly lifted me onto a stretcher. As they were wheeling me out, one of the police officers stopped my father. "Sir, we need you to come with us. Multiple people have reported that you assaulted a pregnant woman." My father tried to argue, but the officer wasn't listening. He was handcuffed right there in front of everyone and taken outside. I was rushed to the hospital. The pain was getting worse with every passing minute. I was scared, not just for myself, but for my baby. I kept praying that she would be okay. At the hospital, I was immediately taken into the emergency ward. The doctors started examining me. I was in premature labor. They gave me medication to try and stop the contractions, but it wasn't working well. While I was lying on the hospital bed in pain, my mother and brother came running into the emergency room. My mother's eyes were red from crying. "Elena, please forgive your father," she said, holding my hand. "He didn't mean to hurt you. He was just angry. We can fix this." I looked at her and replied weakly, "Fix this? You flipped my wheelchair while I was 8 months pregnant. You could have killed my baby, and you're still defending him?" My brother stepped forward and said, "Elena, just sign the house papers. If you do it now, Dad will drop everything. We can forget this ever happened." I stared at him in disbelief. "You're still talking about the house?" I said, "even now?" Before he could reply, a doctor walked into the room. It was Dr. Rachel Simmons, the head of the emergency department. She looked at my family and then at me. "Miss Reed," she said, "we need to talk privately." My mother and brother were asked to wait outside. Once they left, Dr. Simmons sat beside my bed and spoke in a serious tone. "Your contractions are not stopping. We're doing everything we can, but there's a chance the baby might have to be delivered early. However, there's something else." She paused for a second, then continued. "While checking your records, we found something unusual. There's a legal document attached to your file that was sent by your lawyer 2 weeks ago. It states that your house has already been transferred into a trust under your daughter's name. Is that correct?" I nodded slowly. "Yes," I said. "I did that last month. I had a feeling they were planning something." Dr. Simmons looked surprised but didn't ask further questions. She simply nodded and left the room to continue treatment. When my mother and brother came back inside, I looked at them and said, "You wanted the house so badly, but it's already gone. It's in my daughter's name now. You can't touch it." My mother's face turned white. "What did you just say?" she whispered. I looked her straight in the eyes and replied, "I transferred the house into a trust 2 weeks ago. It no longer belongs to me. It belongs to my daughter. Even if something happens to me tonight, you still won't get." My brother took a step back, looking completely shocked. My mother's hands started shaking. You knew we were going to ask for it?" she asked. I nodded. "I've known for a long time what kind of people you are. I was just waiting to see how far you would go." Just then, the machines beside me started beeping loudly. The pain in my stomach became unbearable. The doctors rushed back into the room. "Her blood pressure is dropping. We need to take her for an emergency C-section right now," one of the doctors shouted. As they started wheeling me out of the room, I looked at my mother and brother one last time and said, "Whatever happens now, remember that you did this." The doctors rushed me into the operation theater for an emergency C-section. Everything was happening too fast. I could hear the doctors giving instructions to each other as the anesthesia started taking effect. The last thing I remember before losing consciousness was the bright lights above me and the sound of the machines beeping rapidly. When I woke up, I was in a hospital room. My body felt heavy and sore. For a few seconds, I couldn't remember what had happened. Then it all came rushing back. My father flipping my wheelchair, the pain, my water breaking, and being rushed into surgery. A nurse was standing beside my bed. When she saw that I was awake, she smiled gently. "Congratulations," she said softly. "You have a baby girl. She's a little premature, but she's stable. Would you like to see her?" Tears filled my eyes as they brought my daughter to me. She was small, but she was breathing on her own. I held her carefully in my arms and whispered, "I'm so sorry, baby. I'm so sorry this happened to you." Just then, the door opened. My mother and father walked in. My mother's eyes were red from crying, and my father looked like he hadn't slept. They both stopped when they saw me holding the baby. My mother took a hesitant step forward. "Elena," she said softly, "how are you feeling?" I didn't answer. I just looked at her and then at my father. My father cleared his throat and said, We came to see the baby and to talk." I looked at him coldly. "Talk about what? About how you flipped my wheelchair and almost killed your own granddaughter?" My father looked down at the floor. He couldn't meet my eyes. My mother tried to speak. Elena, please try to understand. Your father was angry. He didn't mean to hurt you or the baby. We were just under a lot of pressure because of the house. Can't we just forget everything and move on as a family? I stared at her for a few seconds, then let out a tired laugh. Move on, I said. You want me to forget that my own father attacked me while I was pregnant? You want me to forget that both of you defended him instead of helping me? And now you want me to move on like nothing happened? My father finally spoke, his voice low. Elena, I made a mistake. I lost my temper, but I'm still your father. I looked at him and replied, no. You stopped being my father the moment you decided to hurt me and my child for money. Just then, 2 police officers entered the room. One of them looked at my father and said, Mr. Reed, you're under arrest for assault and endangering the life of a pregnant woman. Please come with us. My mother gasped. My father looked at me in shock. Elena, you called the police on me? I didn't say anything. I just held my daughter closer. As the officers took my father away, my mother started crying and begging me to drop the charges, but I didn't respond. I had already made my decision. 2 weeks later, I was discharged from the hospital with my baby girl. I named her Hope. My father was later sentenced to prison for what he did. My mother tried to reach out to me multiple times, but I never replied. My brother also tried to contact me once, but I blocked his number. I realized something important during this entire ordeal. Sometimes the people who are supposed to protect you are the ones who end up hurting you the most. And when that happens, you don't have to keep sacrificing your peace and your child's safety just to maintain a relationship. Choosing yourself and your child is not selfish. It's necessary. Was it justice or was it too much? Share your thoughts in the comments below and subscribe for more revenge stories.